When an extortion letter arrived in Burgundy in 2010, it wasn't a bluff. Two of France's most prestigious vineyards were attacked, their vines drilled and poisoned in a scheme that threatened centuries of winemaking history. Underwear, alcohol, syphilis, murder, forbidden.
No, this sounds like a cautionary tale.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yes, it does. Oh
But
my
do you know what
god.
do you know what I'm realizing now though? This is really poor timing. You asked me what time I wanted to start, and I said 12 noon Eastern, which is 10
Mhm,
my time.
mhm.
I'm doing a story on wine at 10 in the morning, and I don't feel like having breakfast wine. So
Okay, well, what do you have then? Are you having tea?
I am double fisting. I am having in a wine glass cranberry juice
Okay,
and jasmine tea.
okay. Well, it's still a little early for me here too, so I'm having, like, an electrolyte drink this morning because I woke up feeling really tired today, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. I did stay up a little later than I normally do, but, like, that means, like, 1 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
I've just been very out of it this morning, so I'm drinking an electrolyte drink, so we're both going into the new year sober, which seems really odd for this podcast.
Well, I wouldn't say we went into it sober, at least myself. But this
Yeah.
morning, yes. Electrolytes for everyone. I
Yes.
I don't know what happened. I we stayed up New Year's Eve until midnight. Like nothing crazy. And honestly, I fell asleep on the sofa for a little while before that.
Mhm.
But we had had wine, we'd had champagne, passed out, woke up, fireworks all around, and then I took a gabapentin because it helps with my anxiety and sleep.
Of course.
So I took that at midnight, and I never take it that late. So the next day, I slept until 10:30.
Whoa.
I got 10 hours of sleep.
Nice.
It was awesome. So I
Yes.
felt awesome on New Year's Day, but for some reason, that evening, I went to bed at a reasonable hour. I took my medicine early, and I woke up at 2:30 a.m. on the 2nd on Friday, and I could not go back to sleep. So when I woke up, woke up, like got out of bed, I messaged my manager and was like, "Listen, I have a big presentation for like a major global company next week." I was like, "I'm gonna hunker down. I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna hunker down. I'm gonna work on this, and I'll see you later. Like, message me if you need me." But yeah, yesterday was a cluster, but today I feel lovely.
Yeah. Well, they made us go into work yesterday, so I, celebrated the New Year by taking a 2.5 hour lunch, and I went and got my hair done. So I
Oh,
snuck
lovely.
out for because I was like, "If you're gonna make me come into the office, I'm gonna take a 2.5 hour lunch
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
go do something for myself," because nothing was going on yesterday, by the
right.
way. Nothing. Yeah, half the
Yeah.
people were still on PTO for the
Mhm.
holidays, and it was that one holiday moment, one last holiday moment before everything goes, to shit next week when everyone is back and everything's gonna be crazy. So I was like, "This is my last shot to get out of here and do something for
Yeah.
myself this year."
Yeah, we had similar we were supposed to be back in office yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't feeling up to it, and I had other stuff to do for work. But I work with a lot of external partners. Most of my work is with and for external partners, charities, brands, celebrities.
Mhm.
Even Hollywood told me, like, from multiple sources, they're like, "You're not gonna hear from anyone until January 5th. Hollywood is closed until January 5th."
Yeah.
Perfect. Everyone just needs to chill out until the 5th.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let everyone have their time. I actually read something on LinkedIn, an article that somebody wrote, and it was like you can tell a lot by a company about how they treat their employees during the holiday season
Mm,
and who gets time off and who doesn't, and how that kind of speaks to what they think about workers and,
yeah,
um, their mental health well-being and, giving people time to recharge and reset and stuff like that. And I was like,
Mm,
I don't know that we're doing this the right way here.
yeah.
But enough about me and you and our workplaces. I'll go ahead and welcome everyone to the New Year of Forbidden, the podcast where we discuss the dark, disgusting, and the disgraceful in our unmentionables. That's right. We've slipped into something more comfortable. Have a uncommon drink in hand and hope you are doing the same with something more fun. And here is our intro for our new series. Alcohol has fueled celebration for centuries, but it's also ignited obsession, greed, and violence. This is our limited series Lush, exploring the true crime stories where excess becomes the catalyst for betrayal, ruin, and murder. And with that being said, I'm very excited to hear your story today and see how all of those themes kind of weave into this story of yours.
Well, I feel so disappointed. I'm telling you, by the end of this story, I'm going to be pouring a glass of red wine probably. But allow me to give you my sources first. Our most
Mhm.
exciting part of the episode. I have a 2011 article from Vanity Fair, which was the lion's share of my stories from that source. An article from Venom or Venom55.com, an article from New York Post 2014, Decanter.com, and an interview with the journalist and author Maximilian Potter on NPR. So this gentleman also wrote the article from Vanity Fair. He also wrote a book about this. I
Wow.
did not have the time to read or listen to it, but yeah, so
But the
here we
book does exist.
the book does exist, and I cannot recall the name of it. It is not my source, and I don't care. Find it on your own. And also, disclaimer up front, a lot of these names are French, and I'm from Oklahoma. So you're gonna get my butchered pronunciation.
Butchered French version of this, the Oklahoma version.
Exactly. In early January 2010, Albert de Villaine, co-director of Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, received a cylindrical mailing tube at his home in Burgundy. Inside was a letter and a detailed hand-drawn map of Romanée-Conti, the 4.46-acre vineyard, widely regarded as one of the most valuable and revered wine sites in the world. The drawing meticulously outlined the vineyard's precise shape and marked the location of individual vines. The message was direct. Unless 1 million euros was paid, Romanée-Conti would be destroyed.
Whoa.
The note closed by stating that another letter with further instructions would be coming in 10 to 15 days. At first, de Villaine believed that the threat was a hoax. Romanée-Conti, often described as the Holy Grail of Burgundy, produces only about 500 cases per year, and its wines regularly sell for thousands of dollars per bottle. The vineyard's cultural status made the idea of deliberate sabotage almost unthinkable. Still, the map suggested an intimate knowledge of the land, something that gave de Villaine pause. So someone has clearly cased the joint, you know?
Yeah. And
So
4.5 acres, that doesn't sound, I mean, that sounds like a very small vineyard with, in like the process or the notion of like when I think of a farm or
yeah,
something like that, I think of like hundreds of acres or something like that. So 4 acres could be intimately cased out, I would think, fairly quickly by someone, I'm thinking like Google Maps, and that sort of thing, but was it like an inside job sort of situation?
yeah. And that's a good point. Like, yeah, it is a smaller footprint and when you think of farming, but if you think of vines and how tightly like the rows are and how
Yeah.
tightly the vines are, there's still plenty of room to produce. And like I said, it's a smaller production vineyard,
Mhm.
but because the quality is among the highest in the world, the the return that they get on each grape is like crazy high.
Right.
Um,
So this is like a scary proposition, when I mean, I think about if something like that arrived to me, I think my first line of train of thought would be like, "Oh, this is a totally, someone's totally fucking with me. This isn't true." But apparently, it looks like it's going to be.
yeah, it's like, have you ever gotten one of those emails it's like, I have information on you. I have seen the dirty videos that you watch, and I know that you're pleasuring yourself to it, and I'm gonna tell your family. It's like, okay, like
You know,
Send me a Christmas card. I don't care.
my dad got I've never had one of those come through to me. I mean, knock on wood, but my dad had one come through to him and said that, and I was like, "Don't even worry about that kind of stuff." I was like, "You don't even watch porn." I was like, "Or do you?"
And
And,
that's okay.
yeah, yes,
Unless
anyway.
you live in Florida or Arizona or one of those other states that have banned porn.
Yeah, so now I know that you know that I don't because I can't.
I know. Okay, so I wanted to give a few just fun little factoids about this area.
Okay.
So, Burgundy's Côte d'Or is widely regarded as one of the world's most enigmatic wine growing regions. It's located about 3 hours southeast of Paris. It spans roughly 30 miles long and 2 miles wide between Dijon at the north and Beaune at the south. The region contains dozens of subregions with numerous towns and villages within them. So, despite its small size, the area contains like hundreds of individual vineyards, and those vineyards are called climates. The region grows almost exclusively Pinot Noir, yet each climate produces wines with distinct characteristics. Fault line, soil composition, and microclimates can change dramatically from one vineyard to the next, even side by side. As a result, the Pinot grapes and the wines they produce vary widely from climate to climate. Because of this complexity, labeling a wine simply as Pinot Noir fails to capture the true nature of Burgundy's wines. It's just like a really unique area for growing.
Yeah, that's so cool. I guess, even though I've never been over to France. I've never stepped foot in France. I mean, I would love to, but I just, did never have time to travel. But I have been to Napa and those types of places, and I didn't realize that, or I don't know in that area if they have like the climate things and stuff like that. That's actually very interesting. I didn't know that that existed at all.
Yeah. So I also have never been there. It's on my bucket. Burgundy and Bordeaux on my bucket list. Okay, so a second letter arrived days later. This time the threat escalated. The sender claimed that 82 vines had already been poisoned and that only two had been irreversibly damaged so far. The rest, the letter stated, could be saved if the ransom was paid. The vineyard map was updated with markings showing where the damage had allegedly occurred. De Villaine contacted senior police officials rather than local authorities, concerned that public knowledge of a poisoning attempt could cause irreparable harm to Burgundy's reputation. So he did not want to go to local authorities for fear that like gossip would spread
Mhm.
and then it would become widely known that this had happened. And he didn't want to, and here we are talking about it on the internet. Like this is a
Right.
thing that you can do. But he's basically trying to suppress that information from going out. So essentially, he goes to a higher authority, which in one article I read compared it to the FBI. So he's going straight to the top here. Investigators soon confirmed that two Romanée-Conti vines had been drilled and injected with a toxic substance, later identified as glyphosate, the active ingredient in the herbicide Roundup.
Oh.
So just real simple.
Mhm.
The vines were dying and had to be removed. The remaining vines marked on the map had been drilled but not yet poisoned. So he called their bluff. Like he hadn't actually poisoned them at all, he had just drilled them.
Mhm.
According to investigators, the method used was precise and deliberate. The poison had been injected directly into the base of the vine using a syringe, an approach historically used by winemakers to treat phylloxera infestations, which is some sort of a, a bug.
Mhm.
In this case, the technique meant to save vineyards had been repurposed to threaten their destruction. But Romanée-Conti was not the only target. Investigators also determined that Domaine Comte Georges de Vogüé, another highly regarded Burgundy producer, had also been threatened. Two vines at that estate had also been poisoned. So it's not just the one.
Mhm. So question, if with the Roundup, is it because it was injected into the plant vines that it destroyed them? Or, like, if it touches it? I mean, because it sounds like it may have been used, like, on top of it to get rid of the bugs that you were talking about, but is it fine if it's like a topical, but if it's injected, it's different?
That's a good question. I don't think they would ever spray it on, like, the vines, but probably around the
Around
base.
the base? Yeah,
I
okay.
could be wrong. I don't think that any reputable vineyard would spray a
Directly
substance like that
onto the
on.
plant. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's like a season when the grapes aren't growing, maybe. I couldn't
Yeah,
find
that's true.
I couldn't find much information on that practice, but I did read one that said it may almost may sound like they still injected it, but maybe it's like a smaller dose or something.
Mhm. That's
So
wild. I would never think about injecting a plant with something, yeah, with a syringe.
yeah.
It it's wild to me. Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy is our neighbors had a tree. So I'm taking a little deviation here. Our neighbors had this huge tree. Um, like it was an Australian tree with super invasive roots, and they actually had to cut it down because it was getting into their sewer line.
Mhm.
So they cut the tree down. The roots were in our yard too, but what we've noticed is some of the roots are starting to sprout like
Oh,
new
no.
plants.
Oh,
So
no.
just the roots. So after reading this, it's like, oh, this is brilliant. I'm gonna go out there and inject. So I actually bought some glyphosate yesterday.
Uh-oh, okay.
So I'm gonna try it on the tree roots from the tree
Yeah.
that's no longer there.
Be sure to cover your hands and stuff like that because I think that stuff is highly toxic.
Oh, it's fine. I'll have Josh do it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Police advised Duvillain not to pay the ransom, but to appear cooperative. A controlled exchange was planned. On the designated night in February 2010, a domain employee placed a bag filled with fake euro notes and a tracking device at the specified location, a cemetery in Chambol-Musigny, a village near Vosne-Romanée. So the cemetery, from what I read, was like not big at all. It's like one of those ancient cemeteries. It's like the size of like a large swimming pool,
Tiny, yeah.
and it's got like the small like stone perimeter and like a metal archway, like an iron archway. And what they did was they placed a device in the archway so that after the tracking device crossed the perimeter, it would activate and
Oh, wow.
authorities could follow him. So it's like a legit setup they have going on here.
Yeah.
Shortly after the ransom drop, a man retrieved the suitcase from the cemetery. He was arrested heading toward a train station and was identified as Jacques Soltys, a man in his late 50s with a long criminal record and early training in viticulture. So he obviously had the knowledge. This is a
Mhm.
very precise thing that he did,
Yes, very
taking
precise.
taking a method that was traditionally used to combat, like protect the vines, to use it against them. So police discovered that Saltese had built a hidden shelter in the woods overlooking the vineyards. Inside were syringes, drills, headlamps, chemical containers, a hot plate, and even vineyard laborers' clothing.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was outfitted for like espionage here.
Yeah.
He collaborated with
How does someone come up with this idea? I mean, I guess when you're a plant professional and you know how to do it, it's like this one of these things is like, "Oh, no one would ever think to do this."
well, and I was kicking myself because as I was reading all these articles, I swear to God I read this somewhere, but don't quote me on it because I tried to go back and find it and I couldn't. I swear that I read somewhere that in one of his earlier stints in prison, one of his cellmates had recommended that he do that because particularly at these vineyards where the wine is so valuable and there's so much more at stake because there are fewer vineyards or sorry, fewer vines. So you
Well,
get
it's easier to extort people when there's that kind of money involved.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he collaborated with his son in the crimes. Although it seems that the son was manipulated into participation, it sounds like the son had had like a shitty upbringing, and that sort of tracks because the father had been in and out of prison and had
Mhm.
been causing trouble for decades. Soltys had been educated briefly at a wine school in Beaune, which is again at the southern part of Burgundy, as a teenager before being expelled for bad behavior, including smoking, staying up late, and swearing.
Ooh.
I know, which like okay, whatever.
Yeah, I thought France was a little more liberal than that.
Yeah, sounds like a good time to me. His later life included convictions for armed robbery and attempted kidnapping,
Wow.
and he'd even once been shot in the chest by police and survived, obviously.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He'd spent a good deal of his adult life behind bars. Authorities concluded that he possessed enough technical wine knowledge to understand the vulnerability of the vines and the magnitude of the threat he was making. While in custody, Jacques Soltys died by suicide in his prison cell in July 2010. His death brought the primary criminal case to an abrupt end. His son Cedric, however, who had assisted in surveillance and logistics, was deemed mentally fragile, and legal proceedings against him were complicated by questions of competency. And I couldn't find much on how that played out. I've heard stories that, or articles that they were going to reopen the case because they did find the son capable of standing trial, but then I couldn't find any follow up on it, so I don't really know what happened there. But basically, so back to de Villaine, to show his thanks, he invited the investigators to the domain and uncorked a few bottles of 2006 Vosne Romanée Premier Cru, along with a tasting of a 1961 Romanée-Conti to toast their work. How lovely. And you'll have to know, like, I don't know how many investigators there were, but you know there was like one or two that carried that thing, and the rest were just like riding the coattails and got all this wonderful wine.
Right.
So jealous. For de Villaine, the episode was both personal and philosophical. He described Romanée-Conti not as a private property, but as a responsibility held in trust for Burgundy and for history. Although only 2 vines were lost and the remaining vineyard was spared, the attack exposed a new vulnerability. French authorities and wine growers acknowledged that vine poisoning as a form of extortion had no historical precedent in Burgundy. This attack remained relatively quiet in France by design. Wine professionals feared that publicity could encourage copycat crimes. As de Villaine later said, the words wine and poison did not belong together, and Burgundy could not become a place of fences, guards, and surveillance. In the years since, Romanée-Conti has continued to produce wine without detectable long-term impact from the sabotage attempt. The poisoned vines were replaced, and the domain moved forward while avoiding public spectacle. This was an attack not on bottles or profits alone, but on centuries of cultural and agricultural heritage. And that, Amanda, is the wine extortion plot that nearly destroyed Romanée-Conti.
That is so interesting. Like, I feel like I learned something from that. I mean, I don't know how I mean, I know how wine is made. I know that there are the vines and all that kind of stuff, but are the vines, like, bred from the same lineage of vines from years and years past, I wonder? Or do they start I mean, do they regenerate every year, like an annual flower or, that sort of thing? Or do they have to start over every year? I honestly don't know.
They have what they call old vines, which are
Mhm.
been established for some period of time.
Yeah.
I don't know the full life cycle of a vine,
Mhm.
um, but they do grow from what they have.
Gotcha.
And I think they sort of cycle through them. So as some,
So this
and
could have
then
been really devastating for them.
yeah, this um, I'm I read about this too, and I was going to include it in my story, but it just felt like too much. But I'll tell you anyway. This vineyard or this section of land had previously been deemed like not valuable by royalty in France or by like the head of state or whatever the fuck. And so they basically just gifted this land to, I believe it was like a monastery or something. And the monks or whoever was there, they determined the value because essentially Burgundy is a lot of hills and it's hard to farm on hills.
Right.
But for grapes, it's extremely valuable because it makes it more difficult for the vines to grow, which means that when they do establish, the fruit that they produce is richer. The more that a vine has to struggle, the better the fruit, essentially. I'm not saying it the best way, but that's essentially what happened. So for centuries, this wine has been growing, these grapes have been growing there, and it took hundreds of years for them to figure out how valuable it was. There's a full rich history there that was pretty interesting, but I won't get into all that right now.
That is,
Yeah,
yeah, such an interesting story. And
this
thank
became
God
so
they caught the person before they could do any more damage to the place because I mean, if you think about it, if this person got turned loose and hit more than one vineyard, I mean, that could have been devastating for the region in
yeah,
general. Yeah,
for the region and for wine lovers such as myself. Not
right.
that I could ever afford a wine from this
I
place.
was about to say, I don't think that I'm drinking wine for this particular area given my socioeconomic status,
Uh-huh.
um, but I would welcome if anyone would like to send us a bottle, we could celebrate.
Yes, please.
Yes, 2026 with a bottle of Pinot Noir.
And until that day, I will stick with my top shelf Trader Joe's selections.
Exactly, which is basically what my pocketbook can afford these days.
Yeah, right in the $10 to $15 mark, plus my box of wine for backup.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, honestly, whenever I drink wine, I don't waste my time or my money drinking on really expensive like, I might have, like, one better bottle and then switch to shitty or
Yes.
not shitty, but,
You
a
step it down.
lower yeah, step it down a little bit because by the time you have your 3rd glass, you're really not
Yeah.
tasting the notes and all that kind of stuff
Your
per
palate
se.
gets a little fucked, and that's why you see at wine tastings, some people will spit the wine out, which is
Mhm. So
I
wasteful.
it would have
Yeah.
to be terrible, like skunked wine for me to do that.
Yeah.
But they do that to be able to last longer.
Yeah.
It's like tantric wine tasting.
I, um I feel like that would make me almost, like, ill to spit wine out, and not because I think it's so wrong to do so, but I feel like, when you spit something out, it, like, normally means you're about to, like, either choke or, get sick or something like that, so it would just be I think it would activate my gag reflex, and it would it would literally make me, like, wanna puke if I was just, like, taking a drink but not swallowing.
I haven't
Well,
had
that sounded very suggestive,
I
but,
was gonna say, I haven't had a gag reflex in years, Amanda. Um, yeah, plus I just think about the cost. I
yeah,
mean, the vineyard's making money off of it regardless of where it goes, but it just feels a shame
yeah.
to not
Although I
spend.
will say I've had one of my worst hangovers ever after going wine tasting in Napa once,
Really?
because it was one of those things where, like, I was with a group and we were really responsible and got, like, a driver, and that sort of thing. So we visited different vineyards and I mean, we did it over 2 or 3 days, but I feel like the last day we were all like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta do this again," sort of situation. And it was a day of hitting some vineyards that were pretty heavy in reds and stuff
Mm,
like that. And I think just the mixture of the different wines, to your point about people who spit it out, I mean, this is probably why too, so they don't have the worst hangover ever. I just got so sick that night and just continued to be sick the next day, hungover on the plane ride back to Seattle,
yeah.
which really sucked. I don't know if you've ever experienced that during wine tasting.
I typically do okay at wine tastings. I think my body honestly is just so used to wine at this point.
Yeah.
For me, it's like hard
It's like
liquors.
water.
I mean, even Jesus preferred it over water.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So real quick, this is our first episode in this new series, Lush, but if you've listened this far, and if you're particularly if you're a new listener, this is sort of a visit of our series Lush from a year ago, where we did 4 episodes. So if you enjoyed this one, go back and check those out.
Yeah, there are some good ones in that series, and I wish I had hints to give you for my ones, but I don't have it quite yet because I'm tossed up between two different stories right now. Which one? They both may end up being the two that I do,
Hmm.
but I just don't know which one I'm doing first. So I don't have my hints available for you. So you'll just have to stay tuned and find out.
Well, I'm excited. I know that it involves alcohol, and I know
Yes.
that we'll be recording later and I will be having alcohol.
Yes, yes, which I need to talk to you about after we finish recording so we can get back to our regularly scheduled process for
Cool.
the new year, because we have been a little, I mean, a little separated for the last week and a half because of the holiday. How was your holiday, by the way, Blake?
It was pretty low key. I took a little
Nice.
bit of PTO, so I got because the holiday sort of felt in just a weird part of the week on Thursday
It
for both of
sure
them.
did. It was strange.
Yeah, it was sort of a bummer. So I took a couple days off here and there just to give myself a breather, and I worked from home in
Mhm.
between, so it was pretty
But
good.
you took time off too, right? You took
A
some
little bit.
time off and then you worked from home part of the time.
Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania for a little bit of that, and then
Mhm.
yeah, so that was it. You worked a lot. You stayed in Miami. Was Did you have a good Christmas though? A good New Year's?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was kind of one of those things where Christmas hit and like with Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve being on a Wednesday, then
Yeah.
having Thursday off and then having to work on Friday and then having the weekend, it was and then to do it like you said all over again the following week seemed really strange.
Hmm.
But I didn't take any personal time off. I got to work from home a little bit, but for the most part, I was working, not working.
Yeah.
Just trying to, I was kind of mentioning to you before we took the break that I was going to use the time to kind of get caught up on some things at work and clean out, just clean out files and do some,
Hmm.
just general upkeep of some things. And I was able to do that, but otherwise I didn't really do much of anything. And
Good.
it's been really cold here though,
Mm.
too. Like, I stayed in on New Year's Eve because normally I'll go to the beach because they have fireworks and stuff
Mhm.
like that, like a large fireworks display that's put on by the city in different areas, between like Miami Beach and Miami and stuff like that. But it was so cold. Like it was in the 40s at night, which
Oh.
with the wind chill made it feel like it was closer to like the lower 40s, upper 30s.
Mm.
And that for here is really chilly.
Yeah.
And my dogs were, well, I take that back, not both of them. One of them, Helena, was scared of all the fireworks going on because it wasn't just those fireworks. Like Miami people love to set off fireworks in the neighborhood when they're not supposed to.
Same here.
And so it sounded like bombs were going off
Mhm.
around our condo, um, which was really annoying for the dogs. I don't know if Tilda got scared.
Yeah, she was freaking out.
Yeah.
We have neighbors directly catty corner behind us that shoot off
Mhm.
fireworks every year, so it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like we're under attack, so she freaks out. I hate it.
People, like, love to shoot guns in the air here. I
Uh-huh,
don't know
same
if they
here.
do that as well.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a cultural thing or something, but I even saw an article or a news story, I rather should say, that was like, "Don't shoot into the air," because last year, 2 people got killed in Miami from stray bullets,
Yeah. They come back
from
down.
people doing because they have to come back down.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And they were innocent people, not even associated with the people who yeah, one of them was like I wanna say maybe like a 10-year-old girl who got killed last year, and one was, more so in Fort Lauderdale, where a guy and his partner had just celebrated the New Year in their backyard, and he had leaned over to, kiss his husband and say, "Merry Christmas," or excuse me, "Happy New Year," and the guy just fell over dead because he had a bullet that hit him, and he was on the news story, like pleading with people, "Don't do this," it actually can kill people. I'm
Yeah.
just like, "That's so sad and so irresponsible."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a similar story. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's reminding me, and it's going on right now in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, which is where I'm from.
Uh-huh.
It's a suburb of Tulsa, but it's the further out you go, the more rural it gets.
Right.
And so I guess this guy had built up mounds in his backyard for fire practice, and he'd bought himself a Glock for Christmas, like as a gift to himself. And he was out in his backyard shooting, and I guess one of the bullets had hit like a piece of flint or something, and it sort of continued on, and it ended up I don't know what the distance was, but it went into a neighboring yard, and there was a woman sitting on her front porch, and it killed her instantly.
Oh my god.
And they
That's
were able to,
terrifying.
yeah, they were able to track it back to him by doing like aerial surveillance, so they could see like they knew like their trajectory and all that stuff, so they were able to figure out who it was. And the guy is facing manslaughter charges. I mean, it's an
As he
accident,
should.
yeah, but yeah, he's got to, and I'm sure that's devastating to know that you were out in your yard doing target practice
Target practice,
and you
yeah.
basically killed a neighbor.
Yeah.
And I mean, people got to be careful. Like, there are
Yeah.
reasons why you got to arrange to do that. They're set up for that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's like find a range or go out deep into the woods somewhere where you know that there is nobody around. And I know in Oklahoma, there's plenty of those areas
Hmm.
where there
Yeah,
aren't people living around. But anyway, what a way to get off on a positive note this
I
season.
know.
Any New Year's resolutions other than I know it's one of them is not drinking wine.
No, I don't do resolutions.
I don't either.
It'll set you up for disappointment. No, I'm just
Yes.
gonna generally,
Continually life as usual.
yeah, generally just try and do better, do good things,
Be
do bad
good.
things better.
Yes, travel some
Hmm.
and make 2026 fun.
Win the lottery. That's my resolution.
Yeah. Did you see that someone from Arkansas won
Uh-huh.
the
The Powerball.
Powerball? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
annoying.
know people who live in that city where or the rather town and that the ticket was sold, but I don't think it's anyone that I know. But well, I will go ahead and get into where people can continue to watch and listen to our great podcast. You can do that right here.
Wherever you
um,
are.
yes, right here, wherever you are on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. And that is going to be at the Forbidden Pod. You can follow us on the social sphere on Facebook and Instagram at the Forbidden Pod. Follow our website for old, like we just talked about the old Lush series. Take a look at our website for other great old stories at www.theforbiddenpod.com and email us any of your feedback, fun ideas, or nudes to hello at theforbiddenpod.com. I think
And
I
if
covered
you,
it.
yeah, I think if you've made it this far, particularly for YouTube, I'm just curious to know. We obviously we're drinking. We're not right now, but we usually are.
Mhm.
We're talking about drinking. What are you drinking? Are you a wine drinker? Do you like booze? Are you like a not touching any of that stuff?
Do you like, the
Electrolytes.
electrolytes, or do you prefer a THC drink? Those are very big now,
Mhm.
I'm usually drinking one of those when I'm doing the show. Yeah, love to know what you kids are doing out there, because I hear that a lot of people don't have given up
Right.
drinking and are moving towards more alternative methods of getting basically fucked up by, doing microdosing, either THC or
Or xylazine or fentanyl.
xylazine or fentanyl or, what have you. Xylazine. That wasn't that my number 1 pick from last year, the
I think it was,
xylazine?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you haven't, go and listen if you're new especially, go and listen to our year in review for 2025. It was our most previous episode, prior to this one, and it gives some ideas on what might be of interest to you to listen to that may have, happened last year.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
cool.
right. Well, Blake, thank you so much for that titillating story.
Well, thanks for the memories,
All right.
Linda.
And listeners, as always, we thank
Thank you.
you. Happy New Year.
Cheers.